Hello and welcome to this assignment walkthrough video for the DHIS2 curriculum developed by Logical Outcomes. My name is Nicholas Santillo, and in this video I will lead you through how to set up and use GIS within DHIS2. So the process. There's a bit of a process when it comes to GIS. We have to collect the shape files, which are files that represent or carry collection of coordinates. We have to import those GML files into DHIS2 and then use the GIS2 app in DHIS2. So we will collect the shape files, convert them to GML, then import the GML files into DHIS2, and then finally get to use that GIS app in DHIS2. And we'll go through that step by step. So step one, collecting the shapefiles. You're going to need the shapefiles for each org unit level in your instance of DHIS2. Now a lot of shapefiles are available from different countries and regions. We suggest going to gadm.org. You can click on the link on this page. But you might also have shapefiles for your own areas of where you work for your own company. If you don't, we suggest GADM is a great place to start. And what you're going to have to do is save all of these shapefiles as GML files. And you're going to need to save one GML file for each org unit level. So what that looks like is you can see down at the bottom of the screen we have Canada, and it's split up into provinces. So that province level would be one org unit level, say provinces, and we would want to save that as a single GML file. We would also save a single GML file as all of Canada, as the entire shape, and then we would save continuously more for each level we go down into regions, sectors, whatever you've chosen in your instance. And the way to do that is those will just look like, they will be called vector layers if you're using QGIS, which is what we suggest is an open source software that allows you to view shapefiles and save them into GML. So step two, importing GML files into DHIS2. Now there is a little bit of code work that you have to do here. You don't have to understand everything, but you have to open up your GML files and shift them a little bit. So we suggest that you just use Notepad. It's the built-in Microsoft editor. You can find and replace. It's not very complicated, and just you're going to have to replace everything into org :name, and then the org unit name that you've chosen. As you can see here in the selected photograph or the screenshot that I have Ontario_NKS because it's my initials, because I was just wanting to make sure in the training instance that I can isolate it as separate from anyone else who's been working. And then once you do that, you'll import it into DHIS2. And the next slide, I'll just show a very brief walkthrough of how to do exactly what I'm talking about here. So we have downloaded our shapefile and exported it into a GML file, which I have here as one of our examples. And now the default way to open this would be through Notepad and Windows, but there are many open source programs that you can edit code in, and you'd be editing XML code. But for the purpose of this video, we're just going to be using Notepad. I've opened two versions of two different GML files just to show you that depending on where you got your shapefile from, you'll have different codes that you'll be looking at. You don't need to understand all of it, but just to give you a sense of what you're trying to find and what you're trying to change here to make it connect with your org units in DHIS2. So the top right, I have this is the Can provinces. This is the one that I'm going to be uploading or have already uploaded. And you can see I'm going to select this line that I've changed into the proper one that I want to use. So it's OGR :name, and then the name that I'm using for my org unit, I have _NKS, that's my initials, just because it's in my training land, and then the end tag. And you can see here in another example of GML file that I got from somewhere else, a different shapefile, you can see that these OGR tags are a little bit different. They're set up a little bit differently, but I can do it in the same way. I would just have to find and replace or manually change these to name. I can also just add a line if I want, and then just make sure that it's Ontario NKS, so that in here is the name of my org units, that I have this beginning code and the end code our name, and I can either change what's already there or I can add it. DHIS2 is only looking for this line, and then the rest of it will be the coordinates. So whatever else you have in here is not really important for DHIS2's comprehension of uploading these files. Once I do that, I'm going to pop over to DHIS2. I go into my import and export app, and when I'm there, I select GML import. I'm going to see this screen, choose my file, Canada Provinces, and then we normally suggest you a dry run, or if you know exactly what you're doing, you can, or once you've done your dry run, you can say no. I'm not going to show what that looks like because Canada is a very large country, so it's going to take a long time to import. But that is the process of making sure your GML file is going to connect to and be understood by your DHIS2 instance. So now that you've uploaded successfully, you're going to be wanting to go towards the screenshot that I see there, where you actually are able to see your org units represented overlaid over a Google map, which is built into GIS and built into DHIS2. And you'll be able to have multiple layers. Everything is going to be visualized through color. You can choose the colors, and DHIS2 will automatically choose the different scale of colors if you want. Here on the right side, I'm going to circle that. So I've chosen the high and the low end, the green and the red, and DHIS2 has chosen the shades for me based on what data exists, so I can get a very clear sense. And in the next slide, I'll be showing you how to do that. Alright, so now that we have successfully imported our GML file into DHIS2, we can go into our GIS app and see how that works. So it's just the map with the compass on it is the icon, and we're going to pull up a map of the world which is based on Google Maps, I believe. So you can drag it around, you can zoom in and out, but the most important thing is that we want to make sure that we've selected that we have the proper stuff in here now. So when we go to click our thematic layers, we can actually add information on top of them, overlap information if we'd like, and of course it's going to be displayed through colors through our legend sets. And you can overlap or stack these and change their opacity if you'd like. You can also of course include Google Streets or a hybrid of satellite images from Google. So it's very, very powerful. At the moment we don't have anything selected, so let's just select one data element. We'll be doing one at a time. We're going to just choose food poisoning, which is something I just created for testing, and select a month that I've entered some dummy data into. We go into our organization unit tree, and we just select some of the org units that we want to see information for. I know I have data in these, so I will select those. And for the legend set, it is automatic. You can choose an automatic or a predefined. So we're just going to do automatic now. And because it's food poisoning, low is actually a good thing. So we're going to make that green, and high is a bad thing. So we're just going to swap that around and update. And what it'll do now is it'll show the data based on it'll show the data in a color for these organization units we've selected, and you'll see what that looks like in a second. So here we go. So we have Quebec, Ontario, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan, 4 provinces in Canada, and we've only chosen 2 colors, so the system has actually chosen what shades of colors to give us as a visual representation based on how close it is to what we want. And we can get a breakdown here. We can see we actually only have one result, one on each of these different stuff, so it's not a lot of data that we're looking at, but you can kind of get a sense of how this works. This is our legend set. These are the gradients, and we can see these gradients here. If we want to make it a little bit more opaque, say we know what these provinces are, we don't need to see it, we can make it kind of 100% opaque, or we can pop it down to 50, and then we can actually see what's going on. And this is good if we want to have multiple levels layered on top of them. So that's a very basic overview of how to use GIS. Once everything's in, it's very simple to use, very intuitive, and you can add these layers on top of themselves and stack them. You can also change the colors, and you can save these legends if you'd like as legend sets. the legend sets, which you would create here by adding a new one, this is what you would then choose in your pivot table to have a heat chart on your pivot table to color the cells based on the data. And that's how you use GIS. That's all for now. As always, you can get in touch with us at info@logicaloutcomes.net or on our YouTube channel, Logical Outcomes, or on github.com/logicaloutcomes. Thanks so much.